Hello guys and welcome back. So this takes 20 minutes or so for my 4-year-old computer to compile. I think that's one of the issues with computers or the heavy game engines like Unreal. It takes forever to do things like this. But this is kind of overwhelmingly complicated though. You have like 14 materials for a character. So I guess game industry are getting kind of really. This is not even recent years. This has been a few years, and this can run on the PlayStation 4 with 14 materials, right? And you can take a look at that. That's the tier. Where is the thing? Can't really see it. Maybe I can look for. Yeah, it's in there. Okay, so if you get close to the eye, you can see the eye. The eye is a really cool thing. Like it does refraction correctly, not correctly, but kind of like in a fake way that's good enough. Okay, I have actually a tutorial on how that's done. It's using shifting the UV basically. And if you look at that, that's the tier line, right? That's even, part of the model. So crazy detail in there. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, let's start building our character. This is the player character. They has a bunch of things like attacking movement, but we don't have any of that because we're not using those third-person control. We're using top-down. So this is just something for us, maybe for reference purposes, but we're gonna build our character from scratch. Okay. All right. So right here underneath the blueprints, I'm gonna go create a new folder. I'm gonna call this guy hero. Okay, and then I'm gonna go create a child blueprint class from our BP character base. I'm gonna call this guy 1BP hero. Okay, and drag to heroes. Okay, now this is based on object-oriented inheritance structure. Some people may argue that it's probably better to just use this one character base and you add components to make it more like a hero or not. So it's your choice for the design pattern you're going to use. I'm going to use its old school inheritance tray, which could be sometimes cumbersome. Some people may argue. I'm going to open that. Okay. And then here, right, the mesh, I'm going to choose a sparrow skeletal mesh. And then for the animation class, I'm going to use, of course, Sparrow Animation Blueprint. Okay. And I don't know why they always have the model like up in the air. So let me check. So the value here is negative 97 to 70 for rotations. I'm going to just, oh, actually that's, yeah, 270. Okay, that should be good. Compile and save that. Alrighty, so that's going to be our character. So I guess what we can do is we can change that temporarily to BP hero just to test it. So here in our game mode base, okay, I'm going to change that to BP hero. Compile and save that. Okay, now let's try. If we go play the game, will be here. Let me hit F8 so I can zoom out. You can see indeed we do have BP Sparrow in here, BP Hero in here, and we don't have any camera control. Of course, that's what we're looking at from there. So that's gonna be the the problem here. Like we do have a character, right? And we wanted to control the character. However, we don't want it to be locked to the character. If you ever played Dota 2 or League of Legends, you know that the character is not something you follow. You probably don't want that. In some mobile games, you probably want, like mobile games are actually getting a bit more popular. That's when you can't really control the, the camera that easily. But however, right, for like a desktop version Moba game, we wanna the player to be not attached camera-wise, right? To be not attached to the player character you're controlling. So we do have to have a different viewing target in that case. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and create that. So let me go to the C++ classes, mobile game. I'm going to go create a new class. And that can be just an actor because we're really not possessing it. We're just using it as a viewing target. Okay, so that's basically, the thing we need to do. Okay, so this can also be, I guess, arbitrarily you could, that's going to be the problem with when you're using Unreal Engine. Excuse me. I was drinking some coffee. Give me a minute. So the problem is that Unreal Engine designs their architecture in a way that the player controller has to be following something. It cannot really be controlled just by itself, I believe. You cannot even get access to its location. It's kind of like an arbitrary thing. In that case, then yeah, you need something to carry it. And so I'm gonna go use that actor here. And so we can call this guy BP view player viewing target. I guess view not BP viewing target. It should be fine. Viewing target. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and create class. So this is gonna be the player's actual carrier, I guess. So your player controller, which is basically representing you, right, will be following this viewing target. Of course, you have to spawn one. Okay, so let me go ahead and work on that first. So let me open that. It's Redder. Okay. Viewing target here. We need to have a few basic components. So in the public, I guess we could let's create a BP version out of it. So I'm gonna make those things all public. So visible anywhere, blueprint read only, and then category will be equals to viewing, I guess. So we're gonna create some basic things. First of all, a root component. So using component pointer root comp. I'd like to set up my own root comp. Also, it's important that you include those things. So include components, scene component, right? I don't know why it's not needed. All right. So let's go ahead and do another U property. And then this is going to be visible anywhere. Again, blueprint read write, read only, category equals to also viewing. And this will be the spring arm component. So use spring arm component. One thing good about Redder is that when you have some new class, it knows where it is. It's going to include that for you right away. So you don't have to go back and type in include. But if you're using Visual Studio, tap that line in to add the header file. Okay, so that's needed to be able to use basically the component in here if you're not familiar with C++. One thing about Unreal Engine is that they have this really nice promise of using a blueprint to do anything you want, which is true, but it's not that practical when you get something way complicated. That's the problem, and you need to use some scripting language. C++ is their choice, which is kind of cool for like super professional programmers, like super professional programmers. C++ is one of the most difficult language just because it has so many things, and it just takes years of practice to even get close. And there's a joke about it, like no one really knows C++. It has so many realms, like generic programming, object-oriented, procedural. It does everything you want to be, and has many styles. There are rules that doesn't apply, and it just takes time. So if you really want to get serious with Unreal Engine, though, learn C++. Learn it as if it's just you're learning programming first, like no game involved. Just learn the language yourself in a year or so, and then you can maybe try to jump into Unreal and try to understand how it works, but it takes time. So I'm gonna call this guy camera boom. That's how they call it. You can also press Ctrl D to copy things. I guess it's easier. And this is gonna be the camera now. So camera component. new camera component, and I'll call this guy player I. Okay, and that should be the basic construct. Okay, you can press Alt O here to go switch between header and CPP file. You can do Alt Shift O to open like a search bar, and you can search for any class files. So viewing target, for example, right? You can just go there too. You know, in Visual Studio, I think it's just holding down Control and click on some of the functions to go there. Okay. Anyway, so now I'm in the CPP file. This is in the header file, right? I'm gonna go to the CPP file. Basically, that's the detailed implementation of those functions. So here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say, hey, well, the root component, root conf will be equals to create default subobject. Oh, and then that's gonna be the use thing component. I'm gonna call this guy root conf. Okay, and then the set root component will be our root conf, right? Oops, root conf, and then our camera boom will be equals to create default subobject, right? And that's gonna be the U spring arm component, right? And that's gonna be called camera boom. Okay, and then camera boom set up attachment to the root comp, and then our camera component, or player I in this case, will be equals to create default subobject, and this time it's going to be the camera component, U camera component, U camera component, and that's going to be the player I, right? Okay, and then player I, of course, will be attached. Set up attachment to the to the spring arm component, which is our camera boom in this case, and then the socket will be the U spring arm component socket name, because spring arm component has a end, right? That's where the socket is. In C++, you have to define that's where you want it to be attached. So that's going to be put on the end of the spring arm component. So in the Moba game, right, we don't want the camera to be rotating. We just want to look down and not changing the angles. So that means the camera boom will be not be inherent royal pitch. We don't want any of that. So they're all false. Be inherent row equals false, and then camera boom be inherent pitch. Yeah, it's all false. Okay, we don't need that. And then camera set world rotation, I guess. Set relative rotation, I guess. And we want to be pitching. So if you look at the inputs, you just need a rotator, I guess. And then the rotator will have two components, right? Row yaw pitch, but it's pitch yaw row. So it's reversed for some really weird reason, right? So we're going to type in the pitch first. I'm going to go for, I don't know, that's probably better done in Blueprint actually. 70 or, yeah, 70 degrees. Others will be 0 and 0, so that's going to be the rotation. And then set up, I guess, target arm length, I believe. Yeah, will be equals to 4,000. I think that will be long enough. Right, that's going to be our viewing target. Okay, all right, that's 14 minutes. We have some basic implementation, right? We're going to move on to the next video where we try to set this up so that the player controller will be looking through our viewing target. Okay, see you guys next time.